Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ podcast, where I sit down with some of the most successful and respected real estate agents working right here in one of Australia's most beautiful and sought-after regions, Southeast Queensland. This podcast gives you a genuine, behind-the-scenes look at who these agents are as people, what makes them stand out in the industry, and most importantly, can help you decide if they're the right fit to guide your property journey. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. You might just be listening to the perfect person to sell your property. Hello and welcome to another episode of Elite Real Estate Agents of Southeast Queensland. Now today's guest is one of the most recognised names in the Gold Coast hinterland market, Stuart Legg from Regency. Stuart has built a reputation around three things: local knowledge, communication and strong negotiation, and it shows in the sheer volume of client feedback and repeat business he's earned over the years. What I also love about Stuart's story is his path into real estate, including previous roles like a PE teacher and even working as a personal assistant to a prominent member of the Brunei royal family, which he credits with shaping his work ethic. He's known as a genuine straight shooter, the kind of agent locals recommend when they want a professional who can actually deliver. Stuart, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Now, look, we won't talk cricket because if anyone can hear it, Stuart does have the English accent. So, mate, you've come out from England. When did you move from the motherland out here?
So almost 23 years ago, in 2003, January the 20th, 2003, we landed at Brisbane Airport.
Okay, and what brought you out? What was the?
Oh, look, mate, I fell in love with Australia from, believe it or not, when I was a very, very young lad, and I remember when I was around about 7 years old watching cricket at my aunt's house, and Channel 9 commentary, they had the commentary.
Oh,
and
we
I
love the
saw
Channel
this
9
faraway land where, you know, the bowlers were running in, you had the stump mics, and it was all different to the very squeaky clean English presentations that we used to watch. And the sun was shining, people were jumping up and down, you know, enjoying themselves. And that, when I was 7 years old, that was the day I became intrigued with Australia.
Really?
Then I first had the opportunity to visit when I was about 17. I left school. I left school early. I was asked to leave school early.
Okay.
But I had a go at playing cricket, district cricket down in Melbourne. So I spent a year down there and really fell in love with it, you know, completely at that point in time. Took a while, you know, to go back home and work on my wife. She was with me when I was 17, and she was my girlfriend at the time. But took a number of years to convince her it was the best thing. And then one day she came up with this great idea that we should move to Australia.
Fantastic!
All her
and
idea.
never looked back.
Never looked back. No, it's definitely home now. My kids all have been here since they were very young. They speak like Aussies. They've been brought up here. So yeah.
Sure. Okay. So. And you started out as a PE teacher?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did a few things before that. You know, just that, as you do when you're a youngster. But had a few years out in London in the sort of mid to a lot of late 90s to early 2000s, directly before coming here. I was a PE teacher in London, yeah.
Fantastic.
Which was good, but it was an area of London called Barnes, which is a beautiful area, but it was on it's on the flight path into Heathrow Airport.
Oh,
and
goodness.
I used to look up in the afternoon. I used to see the big Qantas 747 flying out or coming in, depending which way they were going, and just looking up. I've got these snotty little kids running around in front of me, and I'd look up and see the plane Sydney bound or whatever.
I'm surprised
it was.
you could see it with the cloud that would normally be up there.
It was pretty close. They were low, but so the fascination has been long and deep, and 2003 it became real.
And tell me about this this PA to a member of the Brunei royal family. Tell me the story behind that.
So look, I guess you know. 55 now, going on 56. You have the different parts of your life, and sometimes you wonder if they were real. And it's great, and it's a privilege of growing old, right? And that was a great passage of my life, and it's one that's still part of my life. I'm still in touch with the guys there, and I still have many friends that I work with that are there, and some wonderful people I would never ever have met, without that opportunity. Some cricketers and some sports people, and some film people, and some music, some great musicians, and it was fantastic. So that came about. My brother and I, my brother's 3 years younger than me, we went to school with Prince Abdul Hakim. He's ninth in line for the Brunei, the Sultan.
Yep.
My brother became really good friends with him. They played in the same cricket team, and I was a bit older.
Yep.
And then how it started was the Prince said, "Let's have a tour to Brunei." So he took his year group cricket team and invited me along as well to be like a senior pro, if you like. And that's how it started.
How
probably
cool.
back in around about, that would have been 85, 86.
Yep.
And that was my. I'd only ever been out of England once before that, and all of a sudden we're on a Singapore Airlines plane heading out to Brunei. So yeah, and then after that, in my sort of early to mid 20s, had a couple of years working out there full time, and having some incredible experiences. So my background is very, very varied, and I think that really does play into real estate. Real estate is about I guess. Tuning into people and getting on their level as quickly as you possibly can, and the more people you meet in your life, and the more the more situations you're in, the better you get at that. So I think that that experience there and the other experience that I had really held me in good stead.
Yeah, well, tell me, how did you get into real estate, and when did that happen?
So I got into real estate in 2008, the day of the GFC. Pretty much.
Really?
It was close to it.
But you decided that's what you were going to do before the GFC.
I had no choice. And I think that, I guess people talk about your why, and if you've got a strong why, I think you're on the right track to being successful. And so my why at that point, GFC or not, was I lost some money in another business.
Yep.
I remember the day very, very clearly. And I was in my office when we were living in Tal. I was in my study downstairs, and I called my wife in. I said, "Look, this is over. This business is over." She said, "Okay, look, that's fine. Talk to the other guys, and they'll buy you out." And it's like, there's nothing to buy out.
Right.
This is it. We're done. We're done.
Yep.
So we walked away from that. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, as you can imagine. It was, a few $100,000 at that time in 2008. Yep. It was more money then than it is now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot of money now. So it was really tough. It was really confronting, but I wouldn't swap it for the world, because that was part of the ingredients for real estate, to be honest. So we heard about a Ray White office being opened up in Mudgeeraba through one of the mums at the kids' school. Her and her husband were opening it up. So we heard about that, and went along to careers evening, had a bit of fun there, asked a few questions, and the fella, great guy, still an agent in the area, Luke Frederickson, he was a principal there, and a guy who I admire a lot, one of the smartest guys I've ever met, and he's still in real estate. Yep. I hope he listens to this and knows. I actually wrote a Google review for him the other day as another agent in my area, and it was outstanding. Nice. And he's like, wow, because you value good people in your life.
For sure.
And anyway, he took me through the Briggs-Myers test, and he said, "Mate, no, this is not going to work. You should be a teacher." And I said, "Well, that's what I was. But that's not going to happen anymore." He said, "I'll give you a crack." And I'm very grateful that he did, because that was nearly 18 odd years ago.
Okay.
Now, and
And so you specialise in, it's 4213.
Yeah,
so
the
predominantly
postcode in
Mudgeeraba, Talai area.
Yeah, Mudgeeraba.
Yep. And you've always worked that area, which is for how long now? We're looking at 17, 18
years.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have, and I guess like anything, you tend to you tend to start where you live, and that's kind of where it was. And I walked to those first couple of years. I walked many pavements around that area, dropping my own leaflets and whatever else, and trying to become a recognised face in that area. So that's generally. I do believe though, this is a people business, and if somebody is outside of the area and we're going to work well together. I'm going to be, treated the way I'd like to be treated, and I think they're good people, and they have a good expectation of where they're probably going to sit in the marketplace, and there's going to be a good element of trust already. Then I will travel.
Absolutely.
But I certainly don't push that at all. But for me, what I've worked out, it's about the people. The people make it. The people are the difference between making it feel like you've had a day at work or not.
Love that.
And I feel that, when people say, thanks, Stuart, that was fantastic. I said, look, this wasn't work. You've been awesome. You're great. I've loved talking to you. And the same with the seller as well. So for me, what a great situation to be in. It's only the unrealistic expectations and the pressure and the undue pressure that makes this hard work and stressful.
Sure.
So, but again, I've only learnt that as I've grown up.
Look, what I've loved in just meeting you here today is I can tell you're absolutely genuine, Stuart, and your authenticity is palpable. It absolutely is. And look, I want to spend a bit of time talking about you as an agent, but before we do that, I do want to talk a bit more about something that has blown me away, and that's what you have done within the community of 4213, Mudgeeraba and surrounds. So, mate, please tell us exactly, tell us the story, where it came from. I'm going to let you do the talking, but it is absolutely fantastic.
Well, I've always felt that that as real estate agents, we kind of pay lip service to community. Every bio has got, community focus, this, that, the other.
Yep.
And I feel as though it's, okay, well, community focus. I did an Easter egg hunt this year, and that was it. And that didn't really cut it for me in an industry where you rely so much on your community and the good karma and good vibe that you push through that community. I wanted to do more, and I wanted to raise the bar. And I did various things. I bought parkrun to Mudgeeraba, and I've donated this, donated that, and given this away and that. But I felt there was no structure there. And then in I think it was October or November 2024. I was at home one night, and I got some numb feelings in my arms and my neck and whatever else, and it felt to me like that I was on the edge of perhaps having a heart attack, and I took myself off to hospital, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I took myself off to hospital, and they did various checks and whatever there, and after a couple of hours, they've said, "Yeah, you've got troponin in your blood, which is the enzyme that a heart attack leaves. So you're coming in, and we're gonna have a look at what's going on here." So they did. They got me in the morning, and checked on my valves, and everything was fantastic. And a few more scans, and they did notice what's probably partially genetic and partially exercise related, because I've done a lot of marathon running in my time as well. There was an area of muscle hypertrophy, so the muscle had got larger in one area of the left ventricle, which creates a bit of a rhythm issue. So luckily it wasn't a heart attack, and the troponin was brought about because I had a really hard 10K run that morning.
Right. Wow.
But anyway, it resulted in some really some extensive research into what was going on there. So while I was laying in hospital, though, what hit me hard, you feel pretty vulnerable when you think you've had a heart attack. You feel down on yourself because I've always tried to keep fit and strong. So you feel down on yourself. And then I realized that I had 3 adults in front of me. None of them were CPR trained. And I had no idea then where the closest defibrillator was. I wouldn't have known where to send somebody to do it. You're relying on the ambulance service to get there pretty much. If you need a defib, if you're not there in 8 to 10 minutes, then you're pretty much gone.
Right.
And then I looked into the area that I work at, and I think of the areas in, back of Benogan, Mudgeeraba, whatever else. They're 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes from any ambulance station.
Yep.
So that got me thinking, what chance has somebody got? If you're down the end of Benogan Road, you have a heart attack, you've almost got no chance of survival. If you've got somebody there that can do CPR, and really 10 minutes is your top whack. So there for me, that was a spark that went off. I thought, well, I can now structure something for my community by providing some infrastructure to them to make 4213 the safest place in Australia if you're going to have a cardiac arrest.
Wow.
I don't advise having a cardiac
No.
arrest, but if you're going to have one, you want to be in 4213.
4213.
So my goal then was over the next 5 years to place, it's probably going to be between 40 and 50, maybe 45 defibrillators into our community so that everybody is within life-saving distance of a defibrillator.
Wow.
And these defibrillators go to a host home, and they are generally placed on the garage wall, so accessible to all. And then we put paraphernalia around, whether it's fridge magnets, letters, or into community groups, a QR code, so people can scan that to get directions and to see exactly where it is should they need to. Also, they're registered with the QAS as well.
Wow.
What we also do is we provide CPR workshops for anybody that wants it, but predominantly people in 4213. And last year, in our first year, I funded the installation of 11 defibrillators, and we trained over 100 people in the CPR workshops. And I've started to get residents sponsoring these machines as well now.
Wow.
As well, which is incredible.
So how many are out there now?
So now we have 11.
11.
The first one I put out was in the Talai shops, the Talai corner shops.
Yep.
And then I realised you can't have a heart attack after 7 o'clock because he's
it's inside.
So then I thought I
Okay.
needed to change the model.
Yep.
So therefore I went to the host home. And now we put, generally on the outside of a wall under eaves and whatever. It's in a waterproof box, easily accessible from a driveway. And then we write to works out 300 to 400 houses around there are generally close enough.
Sure.
And we write to those people and also give them the QR codes.
Now, I know you probably don't want to answer this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How much of your own money have you put into this?
Oh, look, last year it was knocking on for about 30 grand last year, but that's
I know that's not the
I guess I justify it in my mind because I don't put marketing material out into the marketplace. I haven't done for some time.
Yep.
I always believe that that it's good to give back, and because I don't do that direct marketing stuff, I think this is a way of using that. People don't like their mailboxes full.
No,
anyway.
it's one of the
And I don't
bugbears
like
that you see
people
on the
phoning me
community
saying,
pages.
"Stop putting stuff in my mailbox." So I thought this is a much better way of turning that around, using that money to make a difference.
Absolutely
So,
fantastic, absolutely amazing. So, tell me more about the Mudgeeraba and the 4213 market for you. You're predominantly looking at acreage sort of properties.
So there's obviously a residential section as well, particularly around Mudgeeraba, but there's also obviously a huge area of acreage properties out there as well. So lifestyle properties, and mate, I mean, I know the whole place has changed over the last few years, particularly since COVID. But when I look at the growth in that area over the last 5 or 6 years, it's quite incredible.
Yep.
Actually, it's amazing how things have kicked on there, and I think people see value in that lifestyle. I brought all my kids up on acreage, and it was a wonderful lifestyle for them to just to roam around, be free, nature, peace, quiet. It was it's a fantastic lifestyle, and people see that as an option. When I started out there, you almost had to bang people over their head to get them out to Talai, particularly Benogan, out the back of Benogan. You almost had to drug them and put them in the boot of the car because they'd never. But now it's because of what it offers, people are happy to travel a few minutes extra for that incredible lifestyle. So,
absolutely. And what is it about the 4213 area that you love?
I think it's retained. It's peace and quiet still out there. We've got hustle and bustle here. You look at down the road from us where we are right now, James Street. It's like Piccadilly Circus there now. And what I like about it never seems to change too much out there.
Just got that laid back vibe.
Absolutely. The Mudgeeraba village there, it's really retained its sort of colonial feel, which is lovely. It's almost like going back in time there. But there's some really nice new infrastructure, some really good restaurants out there. There's a fantastic pizza place out there now that opens up as a bar as well. There's a couple of whiskey bars, great Japanese restaurant and Indian restaurant now. So, back in the day, you probably had, Mudgee Thai to go to, or as a bag of fish and chips.
Yep.
But now there are some really good culinary decisions to be made on a Friday and Saturday night. Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell me about Stuart Legg, the agent now. How would you class your style? What makes you this? As I've mentioned, this podcast is really about getting to know you behind the sales pitch. And I love what you said earlier about how, a lot of agents will give lip service to a community, but, don't necessarily back it up. And that's why we do this, because the sales pitch can generally all pretty much be the same. So tell me, what is different about you as an agent?
Yeah, look, I think I guess whether it makes me different or not, I don't know. But my pillars are absolute transparency around all things, and I know probably every agent says that, but that's fact. I mean, my transparency goes deep. Even when I'm negotiating with a buyer, my dialogue with that buyer is agree with my seller first.
Yep.
So if an offer comes in at 1.5, the seller wants 1.7, I'll say to the seller, look, this is my suggested dialogue. Listen to me. Tell me what you think about it. Are you happy with that? Thanks. They know exactly what I'm going to say. I think it's so important that you are that open.
I love that.
Seller.
So you're not just talking about what you're going to say, but you're telling them how you're going to say it.
Yeah, and I'm getting their approval for it as well. And even back to to the start of a campaign, do a lot of expression of interest with a finishing date, and I will say to the seller before we start, look, this is what you want. I know. This is my suggested dialogue to buyers that inquire, because you've got to give them some sort of an indication.
Yep.
Are you happy for me to represent your property in that way?
Yeah.
Stuart, I'm happy to. So, I give them an undertake. That will not change unless we sit down, talk, and agree it's going to change.
Sure.
So,
sure.
I by the same token, I'm not scared to give the feedback and give my suggestions around it, but the ultimate decision needs to be with them, not me.
Yep.
So, I think again, we said off air, when I sit with my seller, I will tell them that I'm here today, obviously, hopefully to win the business.
Yep.
But my goal, my outcome is focused on achieving a 5-star review. That's why I've got, I think, more 5-star reviews than any individual agent in the whole state. Everything else takes care of itself if you have that philosophy. But yeah, I think that gives a great deal of comfort to the person in front of you to know.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah, and that's important to me.
Fantastic. And as I've said, your authenticity with that, I can absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. I want to walk around the shops in a few years' time when I'm retired. I don't really walk around shops now. I want to walk around the shops with my head held high, not thinking I don't want to see this guy, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I want and I totally believe in karma. What you put out, you get back. And by putting out that absolute positivity and putting people before the deal creates plenty of karma. And I believe that's contributed massively to the fact that, now luckily my phone goes, I get called in without having to chase business hard, because that's really tiring, and it's not in my nature to chase business. I'm
and look,
reserved.
that's as we all know, that's a sign of that you've done the right thing, that you've done well, and that you have got those 5-star reviews and people are referring you on, and good agents, that's where you end up. So tell me about a sale of a property that really sticks in your mind. What's one of your favourites?
Oh, one of the favourites is I won't give the numbers, I won't give the address, but one of my favourites is quite a recent one, and this is surely transactional and numbers wise, but it showed the beauty of the AOI campaign, where we received 3 offers on the property and achieved $500,000 above the next offer, because we just allowed that process to take place and that competition. So that was incredible, blown away from when from that has taught me only last year that you cannot put a cap on a property, because you don't know what
someone's willing to pay.
So
for whatever reasons that you don't know.
Absolutely. So when I go to a seller now, I will give them that example and say, look, I don't know though, if we get this situation, you can. But I think really the ones that stick out are the people. The ones that stick out are probably the people. I've sold a number of properties where I don't charge commission because of people's position, and I try to do a couple of those every year if the opportunity is there, where I will not charge commission, or I will send out a Form 6 and allow them to fill the commission in themselves, because some people in hardship, and they're probably the ones that stick out, because you kind of become emotionally invested in some of those as well. So yeah. So for me, I think, I've sold some wonderful properties over the years, but I think the really enjoyable ones come back to some of the people I've met and the friends I've made. Yeah. And I've got some really good friends out of it. So they're the most important ones.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned expression of interest, which isn't used a lot.
Yeah. I think it's more common. It's much more common these days.
Yeah. But explain that to me first, for anyone out there in your area who doesn't, probably doesn't obviously know how an auction works and how a private treaty sale work. Explain to me how expression of interest.
Well, expression of interest is obviously it's a no price strategy, right?
Sure.
It's as is auction.
Yep.
We always put an end date on it, though.
Yep.
We put an end date of generally 2 weeks.
Okay.
The reason we do that is over a 2-week period. I believe over that 2-week period, all your most serious, most urgent buyers who are going to be competing for that property are going to be there.
Yep.
And that's going to be their maximum engagement period in that 2 weeks. Tell them to come back in 4 weeks. You may lose their interest.
Sure.
It may whittle away. We invite people through there to put their offer down, basically, based on what they think it's worth. It's generally a multiple offer situation as well. So we do request that they put their best foot forwards at that point in time, if there are multiple offers, of course, which 19 times out of 20 there are.
Yep.
So it really is allowing the marketplace to dictate, as auction does. But generally in auction, it's limited to cash buyers, unconditional buyers. With this, we also entertain buyers that need finance. So it enables us really to get the best out of the marketplace in a dollar sense. But those buyers as well then are really keen to sharpen up their terms and conditions as well.
Sure.
So sometimes auctions can fail. Sometimes EOI can fail as well. The auction is a very public failure,
isn't it?
And I think that's very confronting for a seller. So the EOI just allows them the privacy. If it doesn't go well, it's the privacy around it as well.
Understand.
So our job always make decisions, table strategies to our seller that's going to put them in the very, very strongest position. And I feel as though that process very much does that. It's not about. I think sometimes auction can be about conditioning the owner.
Yep.
We're working for the owner. We're helping them.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying there, and it does happen. It does happen. Tell me about, have you ever had a listing that maybe didn't go to plan?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're doing this for 19 years.
Yep.
Plenty of them, particularly earlier on in the piece, even up to a few years ago, you probably engage with people that you really, that I wouldn't now.
Yep.
To be honest, I'm quite happy not to take a listing if I think it's not.
One of my next questions was: have you ever knocked back listings?
Yes, I have, and I am more so as I get older, because I realise, again, as we were talking about, it's the people that make it great, it's the people that make it hard.
Yep.
And I think it's about personality recognition early on in the piece, whether you're going to work or not. Some people think they want to hear the truth, and I'm very, very straight up with that. Even when I don't have a Form 6, I'm ready. I'll be very straight up about it. But some people think they want to hear that, but actually they don't. They need someone that's going to nod, and I'm not going to be that person because it's not in their best interest. So yeah, I do. I don't take all business. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Can we talk a few numbers?
Yeah.
How many properties could you estimate how many properties you've sold
in the whole
total?
time?
Yep.
Jeepers. I'm thinking it must be probably 18 years now. It's probably going to be about 1,300, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be about 1,300.
Okay. So how many are you doing a year, roughly?
So right now my 365-day REA profile says 69 for the last 12 months.
And that's huge. Fantastic. Yeah. And how many of those would be in 4213?
Yeah, probably 63. So I would hazard a guess, probably 63.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Fantastic. Highest price you've ever sold a property for?
Highest price I've ever sold a property for is I'm trying to remember, it's 3,380,000.
Okay.
Yeah, recently. I'd
yep.
never sold one at 3 mil, but I got two
Yep.
in about 4 weeks just before
Really?
Christmas. Yeah,
Fantastic.
So yeah,
Okay. Can I be cheeky and say that probably wasn't one you didn't take a commission on?
absolutely.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. What would be your average sale price at the
price
moment?
on realestate.com, I think, would say about 1.55.
Okay. Yep.
Which is incredible because before COVID it would have been 700.
Yeah.
You know, so it's amazing. I know there's been a lot of pressure on probably, and we won't go into it too much,
Yep.
but there's a lot of pressure on commissions over the time. But the fact is, we get paid double now in terms of the transaction price. So,
For sure. All right, my quick fire round. So
okay, right.
1, 2, or 3 word answers where you can do it. But all right, let's run through it. 1 word to describe your negotiation style.
Thoughtful.
Okay. Biggest myth people believe about real estate agents.
I think the biggest myth in it is longer than 3 words.
No,
is that we're all crooks.
Yep.
We're not. We're just people.
Yep.
We're just people. But we're in a decision making industry where the wrong decision can look really bad.
Yeah, and can affect.
Yeah.
People.
So we're just like plumbers. We're just like lawyers. Any industry.
Yep.
There's no more bad people as real estate agents. It's just that we come under scrutiny when it does go wrong.
Sure.
Rightly so.
Weirdest thing you've seen at an open home?
The neighbour swimming with no clothes on, and it was about 75. The blind was up, and someone just came over and said, "Is that guy swimming in the pool with no clothes on?" It's like, yeah, he is.
Did he do that deliberately?
He may have. He was a good bloke. I ended up selling his house a couple of years later, actually, but I do wonder. I do wonder.
Bet you said don't be home during the open.
Yeah. Luckily, the water was warm and not too cold.
All right. If your real estate career was a movie, which movie would it be?
Oh my gosh, I'm not really great on movies, to be honest.
TV shows, anything.
TV shows. I find that really hard to answer. I guess it'd probably be a soap opera of some sort, because generally that's what this this industry is about. So I don't know. Home and Away.
Home and Away. Okay. And your top tip for homeowners thinking of selling in the hinterland?
I think the top tip is get really good understanding before day one of going on the market of where your property sits price-wise, and be open to the feedback of experts, whether it's us, whether it's a valuation, because that's the difference between capturing that marketplace and getting competition around your property in the early phases. And I tell you now, what I do know is that the best results happen pretty quickly.
Yep.
Time is a killer.
Yep. Good piece of advice. A lot of people think the longer you leave it, I might get some more. I might get someone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So timing is very important. Look, I've really absolutely loved this chat with you. If someone's listening and they're considering you as their agent, this is your chance. What would you say to them?
Call me. Yeah, look, my phone is always on. I have a 2-hour callback guarantee, 7 days a week between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. So try me out.
Fantastic. Stuart, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And I must say, not just an outstanding agent, but an outstanding human being. One of the best episodes I've done. I can see that I started this podcast to show people the human behind the for sale sign, and show that, you know, you guys do far more than just go and hammer in a sign, and show what you're really about. And I think today's episode has really epitomised that, and what you're doing for your community is absolutely outstanding. And I can see it's not something that that is a flag waving exercise for you. You genuinely want to help and give back. So, mate, kudos to you for everything you are doing. So, look, if you've enjoyed this episode and you're thinking of selling in that 4213 area, please do reach out. Give Stuart a call. All his details are in the show notes there. Leave us a rating, give us a comment, and look, Stuart, thanks so much for joining me on the Elite Real Estate Agents of Southeast Queensland podcast.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. I've enjoyed myself.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Elite Real Estate Agents of SEQ. If today's guest sounded like the right agent to help with your next move, please reach out. You'll find all their details in the show notes and episode description. And if you're a real estate agent interested in being showcased on the podcast, visit www.podproaustralia.com.au to learn more and register your interest. If you enjoyed the podcast, we'd love it if you could like, share, and rate the podcast, and let us know in the comments if there's an agent you've dealt with and you think they should be featured next. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.